Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
I don't sing often, only for God in church and sometimes for you.
Yeah, once a year, Christmas time. Dude, how are you guys doing? How are we doing? Lot of
Pretty good.
lot of updates. Sure, yours
updates.
is most recent.
So I got married
Mm-hmm.
just last month,
Mm-hmm.
almost a full month from today. So yeah, that went really well. It's
Where did you get married?
in Canada, so the wife Joy,
Romantic.
which is also
America's hat.
Yeah, her name's Joy. So we got married in my hometown where I grew up, and it was very egocentric because the church is St. Matthew in my hometown. Yeah,
That's funny.
yeah, it went really well. It was speaking of gifts and blessings and whatnot. Uh, the the planning for the wedding, I think a lot of people assume it's the wife. A lot of the times it is the wife who does it, and I would have loved to help out more, and I could have, to be honest, but I I'm still even now, right, when she's at the house, she's helping me to live up to proper standards, but she was working really hard on the wedding planning and whatnot. I was working full time, and I was also doing my dissertation, trying to keep up with a bunch of stuff. So she took up like 90% of all the planning, and I felt bad. But when we were talking about it, she said, "You know what? Think of it as a gift from me to we." So like from her to the both of us, and it was a real blessing because she did such a good job. Like, picked out the colors, helped out a lot with almost everything, and was kind enough to ask me permission for like major decisions. Like, I want to do this. Is that okay? And I was more than happy to let her run with it. But it was a real blessing. Yeah.
Sweet, sweet, sweet. The wedding was where you said?
Oakville in Canada.
Gotcha. West side or east side?
It's west of Toronto.
Gotcha, gotcha. Sweet, dude. That's great. That's great. What about you, Chulo?
Well, I have big news myself. Looks like there's going to be a little chulo or chula coming my way. So, little baby going to be due in June of 2025.
Congrats, congrats, dude. Man, Christmas came early for you.
Yes, it did. It's an exciting time, I'll tell you that. And pregnancy is no joke, man. it's a fun time, but it's
Wait, by
flip.
that you mean your wife is blossoming, right?
Oh, absolutely. The pregnancy glow is a real thing. Absolutely.
Blink twice if you're in trouble.
Well, I tell her this. I get the sympathy cravings, and by sympathy cravings, I mean I just get to eat more of the same food that I like. So I just just that's my excuse. Just I'm gonna put on that sympathy weight just for her.
Yeah, I heard that there's like neural pathways that open up that have never been used before. Hence why you may never have liked, I don't know, pickle juice, but all of a sudden a woman is craving pickle juice. Yeah. And then it goes away.
Well, my wife's current obsession is pretzels, soft pretzels, crunchy pretzels. It doesn't matter as long as they're pretzels. She's happy.
It's great, dude.
The soft ones I'm down with. You know what? Actually, I do have I forgot because I said it went well, the whole wedding stuff. I do have to say, we're going to talk about Christmas, maybe some traditions. And the theme of tradition came up in a very big way during my wedding because um, I am a traditional kind of guy, especially for Mass. We had our family friend who's like, this priest has known us for a long time, and he's 90, right? So I thought, what better priest than him to officiate? So he did that. A lot of things did not go according to plan. Can't blame him. Definitely not blaming him. His homily was epic, and by that I mean it was great and it was also very, very long. So that put the timeline back substantially. And at some point, he invited us up to the altar, I think like before consecration, and I didn't want to do that at all. He's not that traditional as you might imagine, and I almost refused, but in the moment we went up, so a very non-orthodox wedding mass, and I was just hoping to kneel and just chill. We had the veil, the rope, the
The
coins,
lasso.
like all the traditional Spanish stuff.
Yeah.
So trying to keep it real traditional, and then he had us go up. So we were like, we still had the veil and the cord on, and we're trying to shuffle up the steps together, and she has her. It was a lot. I was like, I don't know what to feel, but I was just going with it. So that happened, and then during my father's speech, no, actually, right before the reception, my dad, the week leading up to my wedding, he kept cracking this joke. He kept saying, you have a last chance. I'm going to get a motorcycle for you as your getaway vehicle in case you change your mind. So the first time was kind of funny. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's great. Because he's also been legit talking about buying a motorcycle. Spoiler, he actually did buy himself a motorcycle after the wedding. But anyways, so he's cracking these jokes. My family comes to visit. We're having dinner, and he cracks the joke a few more times with them, starting to grate on me a little bit. Her parents come to visit. He cracks the joke in front of her father too, and I'm like, you might not want to say that are you implying I want to back out?
He's
And
like, this is killing. I'm gonna keep saying it until until everybody hears it multiple
yeah, he was
times.
really driving this point home. So um, we did not. We kind of broke with tradition. I saw her before our wedding. We got our first look shots. So when I got down to the hotel and I saw her, the whole stuff. Before that, there was this motorcycle parked outside the hotel, and there was a sign on it, and it said, "Last chance for the groom by 2 p.m. sharp." So my father had rented someone's motorcycle, and he put a sign up in front of the hotel where like all the guests were staying. And I didn't know what to feel again because I was asking him, please stop cracking this joke. He goes and buys a motor or doesn't buy the motorcycle, but he rents it. So I'm like, damn, like, okay, cool. So I let I took some pictures with it with a photographer as a joke. His speech, though, his speech was also extremely long, and he brought that joke up again. And let's just say he said some out of pocket stuff. He was talking about family tradition, and I think what he was trying to say was the Escanio family's generous, or what is it? He said our tradition is be a blessing to others, but he kind of said um, we paid for the wedding or we paid for the reception. So I think what he was trying to say was we want to be a blessing to others and we want to be generous. Um, but yeah, it kind of back. I know he didn't mean it spitefully, but it was bad. I also asked him not to sing. He sang not only once, but he did a repeat in Spanish, and then I had to cut him off. But it was a blessing, the whole wedding, the reception. But I wanted to share that just because I how could I not? What?
Yeah, no, this is the podcast to do it, and I'm pretty sure there's some bros out there. There's like that's exactly what happened, and I told them not to talk more than 3 minutes, and they still talk.
You should have heard my best man speech. He was drunk. No, no, no.
You were like,
although although he was tearing up the dance floor afterwards, and let me tell you, my best man was a talking piece at my wedding. And if people don't know, Papi was my best man at my wedding, and all the ladies, and when I tell you all the ladies recognized what an incredible dancer he was, and they were like, this guy is charming. And
but you must include that most of them were either dating or married. So,
that's and alas, that's why he's still single. Or I think,
but that's also when you can have the most fun. It's like, okay, I'm here for my bro, my new sister as well, and I could just cut loose without even like thinking twice.
Yep.
So no, but thanks for sharing. People need
Yeah,
to
that was
hear those type of stories. I'm sure you had a little moment of like being maybe angry, but you just you just move on, right?
I'm past through all the stages of grief.
There we go.
First, it was you're not really doing this. I actually recorded his speech, and when I finally got him off, I was fuming for a while, and I couldn't think of anything else. Her father had the following speech. I couldn't even pay attention, but um, I was happy. I kind of like asked him afterwards. I went up to him and I said, "How do you think I feel about your speech?" I didn't say how I felt, but he was not, he was like kind of incredulous. He's like, I thought I said what I needed to say. I thought it was a good speech." So it was like a process afterwards. My wife and I had to talk to him about it. Why you shouldn't say that you paid for the reception and that kind of stuff. Um, the example I gave him was, imagine you're going out to dinner with friends and the bill comes up and you make the announcement to the entire restaurant. And you're like, Scania family tradition is to be a blessing. So we're going to pay for your meal, right? Like, how do you think that would make your friends feel? You don't need to announce it. It could kind of be low key. Maybe you only tell them and you don't tell anyone else. And maybe you could have said, I actually told him, I said, maybe another Escagner family tradition has to be humility. And he was like, touche. I'll think about that now. Oh,
I think that's a bartender you asked.
please.
Is this a bartender? From Canada. We hired a professional bartender from Canada. She's here. She's making the best.
Right here.
What do we have today? What do we
Oh,
have?
my goodness.
Wow,
Yeah.
look at that.
Yeah. This is a brandy cocktail that I just kind of whipped up. It has like a chili fig jam in it, apricot brandy, regular brandy. So it's like spicy and it's a little bit strong and a little tart because there's lemon juice too.
Wow.
Enjoy.
So when will I be receiving my cocktail? I just
Oh yeah, and yours too. Whenever.
Oh yes. Oh, cheers. Thank you very
There you
much.
go.
Appreciate it. Yeah, there we go.
She's my favorite wife.
Favorite one.
Joy Escaño, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're one of those passport brides, right? Technically, she is the passport bride.
Speaking of out of pocket comments,
He's gonna get the American citizenship in due time. Due to this
That's
guy,
right.
he had to go all the way to Canada. Oh, I forget that.
I'm a passport bro.
Yeah, you're a passport. bride. Yeah. I hear it works. Some people are happier.
well, gentlemen, since you shared what you're drinking, I decided to crack this bottle open. Had this on my shelf for a little while. It's Empress 1908. It's elderflower rose gin. So I don't know if you can see that clearly, but
was gin.
yes. So I decided to crack this thing open. Decided to kind of make my own invention on my own drink. So I decided to do two servings of the gin, some cranberry uh, seltzer water, and a splash of some sugary drink along with lemon juice, and it's actually quite tasty. So cheers to that, gentlemen.
Salud, amigo.
Salud.
Feliz Navidad.
Feliz
And
Navidad.
peace to everybody out there. We love you. Thanks for watching.
Happy birthday, Jesus.
Yes.
Yeah. So, every year I like to keep the tradition of wearing my Christmas best. And I hope I did it just right again this year. Got my hat, always come well dressed. And I'm getting a little bit more snazzy this year, wearing suspenders more often. And like always, I always feel like I dress too much, to be honest with you.
A little overdressed.
A little overdressed. I'm sorry if I'm outdoing you guys, to be honest with you. But
I had to go with your style. I decided the bow tie and the suspenders were a good touch, but
something's missing.
Look,
Something is missing. Or maybe you're
nobody wants to see that much hair. Come on, let's be honest. I got enough hair on my face. Nobody wants to see that chest hair. That's reserved for the wife. Okay, let's leave it at that.
and yeah, you're getting a little bushy there. Is it what you call husband bushiness? Like you have more free reign since you're not out in the market anymore.
Yeah, I decided to take get the countryman look. So I decided to grow the beard out a little bit. It's coming in, and you know what's funny, Matt, be ready for this. There's a lot of gray hair starting to come in. So and as children come in, yeah, well,
Nice.
my temples are definitely a lot wider, but it's starting to come in all at the bottom here. And I don't know. I'm just playing with the idea of maybe having a big old beard like this long. So we'll see. Before you know it, when the next Christmas special that we'll do, you might not even be able to see the bow tie because of the big old beard hanging down. So we'll see.
Bow tie on the beard.
There you go. There you go. Might be a nest in there or something.
For me, no updates in the relationship status, which is quite okay. I'm a hopeful romantic. not a hopeless romantic, hopeful, waiting for the right time. God is very logical, so waiting on Him. But I have been able to meet up with some beautiful ladies along the way. Didn't work out, no problemo. I did organize this awesome event, a cultural event called the Cultural Fiesta. Over 200 people showed up, and you enter and you see represented these cultural tables of Ecuador, Mexico, Peru, Germany, Egypt, Ireland, and Nicaragua. So they all had their items, their displays, and some of them were dressed in their gowns, Mexican hair boat flowers, and the Irish girls dress up as Irish girls, et cetera, et cetera, and the food as well. They all gave up their time to cook delicious ceviche, arroz con pollo. The Mexicans cook the tamales and what their carnitas, and then the Germans also contributed with the food, and yeah, it was all yummy stuff. So on one side was the cultural tables, and the other side was activities for the kids. So international flag face painting on the face, on the arms, and Mexican hair braiding. That was awesome. That was awesome. Mexican hair braiding. All the girls
Mexican.
that I was asking to volunteer, they're like, I don't know if we can do it. I'm like, just watch a video. Just watch a video. And they came and they did awesome. And they also put a Mexican or red rose on their hair or whatever color they wanted. There was a Cuban backdrop where they could take a picture in front of it with all party favors that were there. And then performances, dance performances. Ireland represented, Peru represented. I performed a marinera with my sombrero and my handkerchief, and my partner as well in her beautiful purple dress, and it was awesome, dude. I haven't felt that manly in such a long time, because it's like, just imagine me all formal wear with the suspenders, and then with a sombrero, chest popped out, walking forward. We never touch in this dance. You never touch, but your face literally comes this close. You go in a circle, and then you separate. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing, and yeah, I'm supposed to be the gallant male trying to court this woman. It's a dance of a flirt. It's a flirty dance. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. So that was the event, man. That took my last 2 months, and then Thanksgiving happened, or yeah, and then Thanksgiving happened.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
He was busy getting married.
Yeah, that wasn't too long ago. Yeah. So well, congrats on that, because it sounds like a lot was put into that and a lot of people contributed.
The thing that will hopefully that will be an annual thing, and we had an after party for just the adults, and that was awesome. And I'm definitely hoping to do that every other month or so. Uh, I was aiming for a Latin lounge environment. So the cigar bar at Chesterton's, when I asked the manager, hey, this is my idea, an after party for the adults to come and hang out because we finish at 10 p.m. Let's keep it going. And I'm trying to, so I got my people to set everything up. Um, I'm closing up shop at the Cultural Fiesta at Leonardo's third floor bar room, and I make it at the nick of time at 10 p.m. and the party's already started. And what was cool was that people who didn't go to the Cultural Fiesta went to this after party because they wanted that vibe. And there were some women that were just well dressed and just like ballroom attire, because the way I marketed it was like a fancy after party event, and they heard Latin, so they wanted to come in like their Latin shiny best. Of course, that's intermixed with the rednecks and and the hillbilly moms. So it was awesome. I think the cutest thing that I saw was two of my friends, Pittsburgh salsa friends, that came over to Ohio to come to this event. They're a young couple, not married. They've been together forever, and hopefully they get married one day. And they don't want to have kids. And I happened to see there's a German couple that cook the German food, new into town, and I know she is a mother of 9 kids. And so my Pittsburgh very trendy friends and my kind of rednecky hillbilly coming from Tennessee friends, and I was like, hey, you two should talk. Okay, here you go. You 4 should talk. And for like a whole hour, they talked. And then I finally came over because I was doing my rounds, entertaining people, dancing with people. And then I come back and they're just having a blast. The husband with the male, my buddy, and then the wife with the German wife with the female. And and it's crazy that I would say maybe like a secular couple that didn't want any kids is talking to a married couple, and she just announced that she's having her 10th baby.
Mm.
Wow,
So,
that's
so
awesome.
yeah, I would love to have a follow up conversation with with my Pittsburgh friends about it. I was like, hey, what was your impression about that?
Let me ask you: are you is this something you want to do annually? Because it sounds like something that would be a big hit if you do this as an annual event.
So the cultural fiesta, yes, annually, and because that just takes too much work. But the Latin lounge event is what I hope to do every other month, so every 2 months, and hopefully I create a little incentive for myself. Since I'm bringing them business, maybe hey, for every 6 purchase from a customer that attends, I get a free cigar, and I'm a happy camper that way. Like you don't have to pay me anything, just give me a cigar. So, but dude, because it was there's an Instagram video that I'll send it to you, or I'll put it in the comments of this podcast, but where I walk in and there's like 30 people in there, and I walk in and I pan around, and then the follow up clips are of people dancing, people chatting, and the well dressed people, and the what I've shared. It was awesome, dude. It was awesome, and by that point I could finally relax. So I already had a cognac bottle this big, like a huge cognac bottle, and I shared it with everybody, and I still had more than half, and I could relax. And then I drink and I sip and I smoke and I dance. It was great, dude.
Great, that's awesome, man.
I must
Congratulations.
admit, dude, as yes, I mean, I would say I've gone through different waves of having friends getting married. I must admit, as a 38-year-old male, there's luxuries you have when you're not time luxuries. There's definitely many blessings and luxuries with being married and having kids, but I definitely have the time luxury as an unmarried, undating man.
Yeah,
So, and
that's
maybe that was God's intention because I legit dedicated 2 months. It was almost like a job to prepare for this event.
yeah,
So it was good. It was good.
yeah, yeah. Well, who knows? Maybe next Christmas you'll be a fiance, and then before you know it, you'll start having a bunch of kids, a bunch of little poppies everywhere, and mommies. Little kids running around, planning the next cultural event.
Hmm.
That's right.
Yeah. What's the Christmas tradition going to be for you? Or what's happening for you for Christmas?
Well, my
Sure.
wife and I will be going to what's turned into a family reunion in Mexico. So it's a tiny town, it's about a 4 hour drive outside of one of the main cities. And it's going to be very interesting because she's an American gal, so she doesn't fully comprehend the Hispanic culture. She has spent Christmas and Thanksgiving with my family. Actually, no, not Christmas, but Thanksgiving. So she understands a little bit of like the cultural context. But this is going to be a gathering of 30 plus people, and it's going to be in this little rancho in the middle of nowhere in Mexico. So we're going to go out there, and her being pregnant, it's going to be it's another uh, interesting thing that's might throw us off a little bit, but it'll be fun. you know, I I've been weary about taking her to Mexico, especially with everything the way it is and the dangers behind it. But seeing the context of it being Christmas with all of our family, all of my siblings are going, my nephews who've never been to Mexico. It's going to be really fun, really interesting seeing them interact because they've become very Americanized. They grew up speaking Spanish, but now that they go to school, they don't really want to speak Spanish. So now being in Mexico, it's going to be all right. You have no choice. You have to speak Spanish, and if you want to go to the store and buy something, you got to speak Spanish. So it's going to be fun. I'm excited. We're going to be gone for about a week and a half, and then we'll make our way back. And then I have a conference that I get to attend immediately after It's a very popular Catholic conference called Seek. You guys probably heard of
Mm,
it. Yeah, so I'll be going there with work and uh, yeah, man, turn it up.
right on, bro. Right on.
Yeah.
That's interesting to hear. For my little brother, I remember when he went to high school. Prior to high school, he didn't want to be called Peruvian. He's like, I'm American. I'm Americano. And then he went to high school, and all his friends was like, "Oh, yo soy mexicano, yo soy dominicano, yo soy Puerto Rico." And then all of a sudden, he was like, "Oh, Peru la sangre." He's like, "I'm all about Peruvian in the heart and the blood. Runs through courses through my veins." But that didn't happen for your younger cousins. You're saying?
Well, my nephews, they're still little, so I think
Mm.
it's gonna get there. They're still young. I think when they get into like high school, then they'll start getting to that. But because I have my nephews are like 6 and 9, so they're little kids. It's funny though, you don't realize the American luxuries that you have until you go into another country. I don't know if Canada's included or not, but I mean this is like places that are semi third world, second world, I guess you can call them. But there's some luxuries that you don't have, and it's going to be a bit of a culture shock for these kids, which will be very interesting to see. So, and for my wife too.
We went to Mexico for our honeymoon actually. So
Oh, what
that's
part?
where we were during your culture fest. It was we did not know that it was rainy season still. So we got sun, but we got rain, and we did a lot of excursions. So I don't like first time I ever went to other than Cuba, I went to a resort in Cuba. We went here, timeshares almost immediately. Um, for all those who don't know, say no to timeshares. They want to sit you down for a meet. Just say no. Just say you want to enjoy the resort, unless they give you a really good deal. But honestly, it's not worth your
It's
time.
not worth it. Can I tell you my experience with that?
Oh yeah.
So my honeymoon, we ended up going to Cancun, and let me tell you just a bit of advice for those and for you Poppy as well. When you're ready to start booking your hotel, your all inclusive hotel for your honeymoon, do not skimp out on going for the adults only hotels, all inclusive, because I made the mistake of going one that said it was adult. There was adult friendly areas, like separate from everybody else. But when I tell you that it was mainly for kids, it was mainly for kids. So that made it really bad. They closed up a lot of the stuff really early. And the other hard part was I don't think I've ever eaten more hamburgers and fries in my life than I did in Mexico at this resort, which really was horrible, leading me to when they try to pitch this conversation, oh, we just want to invite you to a free meal at the Mexican restaurant over here, but we just want to have a bit of a conversation. At that point, my wife and I were like, we just want some Mexican food. So they invited us. We went to this place, this Mexican restaurant that was in the hotel, that you had to make reservations because everybody wanted to go there because it was like the only Mexican food there. We ended up going. Food was good. Food was decent. But then they ended up wasting about 2.5 hours on us,
Yep.
trying to sell us on you need to buy this package. It's only going to be $300 a month, and it's going to get you great deals. It's basically like a subscription service to their thing through their portal. This doesn't include you actually going to uh, the actual hotels. It's just getting their discounts. And so on top of the monthly fee of $300 a month, you're still paying for your hotel and a bunch of other stuff. So it's like it's not worth it. And it just came to a point when my wife was like, let's just go. Like, I'm tired of this. I don't want to be rude, but you have to be rude to these people or else they won't let you go. And eventually we're like, you know what, we're not interested, sorry. And like, you know what, and I said, we just spent a lot of money on our wedding and to come here. It's like, we don't have the money to be spending $300 a month on something like this. And the guy just kind of like smirked, and he just grabbed his papers, and one of his colleagues was walking by. He's like, hey, look at them, they don't have the money to
Yeah.
go to purchase this. Can you believe that? Americans, they don't have this money. And it's like, who are you to try to like shame me into buying this? Are you freaking kidding me? So just let's just say that we walked out of there pretty quickly, and a
Or it
few
could have
other
been a
words.
risk tactic. Have you ever seen the Key and Peele episode where they like the telemarketer calls and the guy's about to start the spiel of like, "Hey, thanks, but no thanks. and he just hangs up right away. And so Key returns the phone call. It's like, wait, I think you by the end of it, he was so angry that the guy telemarketer kept on hanging up. And he's like, I will buy this thing because I damn want it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hey,
that's
they know their tactics, and they're slimy. So stay away from those people. And so I'm. Did you actually do any of the, hey, come check out this meeting or come enjoy this breakfast or whatever?
yeah. So soon as we got to the airport, Cancun as well, we were like, how are we supposed to get there? Because I was a little late in arranging transportation. So we're kind of walking around looking for the public transport. And of course they see you looking around and they're like, these guys don't know what they're doing. So these guys came up to us and they're like, oh, you're looking for a transport? We're like, yeah. It's like, oh, it's over there. Like, well, you know what? Hold on. We just want to let you know before you go, you got to be careful. So they gave us some advice, and then they're like, by the way, are you planning to do excursions? They seem pretty helpful. So long story short, I put a deposit down, about $100, $120 for an excursion, including a visit to their resort for a breakfast, as they were saying. And they're like, don't tell anyone, don't tell your resort. You know, they're gonna tell you a bunch of stuff that's not true. Um, so we get to our resort, and of course they ask, "What are you doing tomorrow?" Because they know at the airport they try to get you. And Joy's thinking, "Oh," she butts in. She's like, "Oh, we're not doing anything." And I'm like, "Actually, at the airport, these guys told us to meet them because I wanted to pitch them against each other. You know, see who got
Yeah.
the best deal." So they're like, "Forget that. We're gonna give you your deposit. We'll give you the money on a voucher for our excursions. Just meet us." And I'm thinking, okay, sick. So long story short, same deal, right? Trying to sell you for hours and hours. And I did the same thing. I looked at the dude. I said, "Hey, Gabino, I'm sorry. We gotta go. I want to go to the beach right now. The sun's out. I don't want to be inside." So I start getting up, and he's like, "Oh, please wait for my boss." So I'm like, "Goodness gracious." Boss sits down, tries to sell us again, and I'm like, "Sorry, Roger. I want to go outside. Best of luck." We left. And it was excruciating, but you have to be short. I was being polite. A lot of them will try those things like, "Oh, you don't have the money," and sometimes like we ended up telling them like, this isn't us, not our lifestyle. Like if it was me, I'd come here. If I knew more about Mexico, I wouldn't go to a resort. I'd save money. If I knew people here, I'd do the excursions, but like I don't, and that's why we're here. But it was a lot.
Yeah.
The the excursions were great. We went to go to the cenotes. We went to see
Yep.
Chichen Itza. Everyone was calling it chicken pizza. I did a cheeky little thing though. I wore Our Lady of Guadalupe on my shirt
Mhm.
going to Chichen Itza, so it was nice because the history is really incredible. The architecture, the sound, the clapping stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was kind of nice to have just knowing what had happened, like the history of Our Lady of Guadalupe and the big conversion in Mexico. Um, but yeah, it was a good trip. I like that. I love the country. People are actually very warm, but they are aggressive on the sales.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, next time we'll have to head over to Peru and see if they're just as vicious as the Mexicans. So,
Yeah, they are. They are. I love the TikTok videos, the Spanish ones made in Peru. I saw one made in Peru. It's like it's a guy, married man, who says, I just don't receive the affirmation that I used to get from my wife, now wife. She used to say all these beautiful things to me. So now I have to go to the streets to receive this affirmation. And then the next clip is of him going into the market, and you see all these women salesmen trying to sell him clothes. So they say, "Mi amor, mi vida, mi cielo, ay que guapo," and then another woman is like, "Ay que churro, ven papacito lindo," they'll tell you the sweetest things to you to win you over, to woo you, just to sell jeans or a shirt or whatever. And some of them will even come, especially if you're a foreigner. They're very forward. They'll come to you. They'll grab you, papito, ven. Look, I have some. Well, no. You have time. You have time. Come. Man, they're aggressive. They're tactful. For me, because I think they recognize that I'm Peruvian. They don't spend as much time with me. But yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it in action. It's pretty hysterical. Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of Christmas, we did this thing. Um, there's just for Canadians, her and I. There's something funny about seeing Christmas trees in tropical countries, like the evergreens and whatnot. So they had the decorations up. So I'd take a picture, you know, the live photos, and
Yeah.
she'd do a little dance going across because she noticed me taking pictures. So she was dancing and going Feliz Navidad, right? So she's just walking across, and then it just so happened another Christmas tree at another resort. She did the same thing. So now I have a compilation video of her singing Feliz Navidad, walking across all of these like Mexican decor
That's
with like
fantastic.
the tropical climate.
Yeah. That's
Well,
right.
that's what San Diego's like, man. I took my wife out on a date yesterday, and we were down in the Coronado area. There's a famous hotel there, the Hotel del Coronado, and they have the trees decorated, and there are around that area the palm trees. They're decorated like candy canes, so they have the white and the red lights all the way to the top, and it's like, yeah, we live in a pretty tropical area too. You know, it's like it gets colder inside of our apartment than it does in outside. You know, we're inside and we're wearing sweaters and stuff, and then we walk outside and it's like warm. It's a strange thing, especially for my wife being from Pennsylvania. We were just out there for Thanksgiving. We visited her uncle in New Hampshire, and it snowed. When I say it snowed, it snowed. So it's funny of being from California. I went out there and I was not prepared. So I had all of my thin clothes, and they were like, "Yeah, you can't be wearing this clothes out here. You'll
But,
die if you stay too long outside." So
but talking about winter, I have every intention this year, dude, to make a snowman. I have not made a snowman in 12 years. And that was my good friend, Will McMaster, when he was a seminarian up in northern Michigan, and the right one, the one in the right, all the way up top. He was going to seminary there, and we had the whole record to ourselves. And it pours snow there, and soft snow too. We made an 8 foot tall snowman. It was incredible. And then we did what's it called when you skid on the snow, you pop a wheelie or whatever. Yeah, we were
Oh, the
skidding.
donuts.
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
skidding on the snow. I've always had that dream of wanting to do that, and it finally happened. So yeah, but just I mean, sledding. Maybe I did 3 4 years ago, only once with friends. But it's just not a priority, you know. But there's something true about it. You like your childlike side comes out when you get out again and do those stuff. So that would be cute to do. But I'm happy to hear that you're still taking the wife out on dates, dude. That's good. That's good.
got a date for the rest of our lives, man.
You must have watched the podcast that I heard about, the Papi and Chulo podcast. They did like a dating episode. And they made good suggestions. You probably took their advice.
Well, I the reason we went on a day was this very special day. So, uh, yesterday, well, the 5th or the 6th, around there, those two between those 2 days, it was our dating anniversary. So it's been a total of 5 years of us dating. So it took her out to one of our favorite. It's a fancier kind of chain place. It's called Il Fornaio. It's an Italian restaurant. There's one in Sacramento. There's one here in San Diego. So took her there, got some really good Italian food. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, just never stop dating, my friend. Never stop dating.
Yeah, I can happily say that friends, when I suggest our channel, the Papi and Chulo show, I can happily say it's interesting in the comments that I will hear afterwards. And you forget what you've done in the past
Mhm.
or what you said specifically, right?
Yep.
And one of the comments that I got was like, I've never been told that it's okay for me to have standards. And I think we made it like yes, it's an obvious, but for this guy, he's never been told that. He's just always been, I need to be the nice guy, and whoever. That's maybe the approach. Maybe for his circumstances, that's what he's always had to confront. It's like whatever presents itself, and she likes me, and I like her, so he just goes for it, and yeah, I guess he's never been told that, so that was great, great for him. And then another thing that he mentioned was, I've also never been told that I can expect somebody who's healthy. I should have a standard of expecting her to be healthy, like, or keyword stable, stable as a person, in her finances, in her lifestyle, that she's not crazy. You know, so I was like, wow, that is good advice. Who said that?
Well,
Yeah.
my wife and I were talking today about holding standards and things that you want and but also be willing to compromise too, and and things that are not the most important. My wife was saying that a lot of times women are told constantly that um hold your standard, it should be up here, and never compromise on your standards, but they take that to mean hold your standard and never cave in on anything, not even the little things. And she said, and it's like, it's such a messed up way of thinking. She said, because she's like, you and I, she's like, I like being active. She's like, but I'm not like a crazy active person. She said, she said that during when she was in college, the big thing were hockey players and rugby players. And she really liked that. She really found that attractive. I'm not a team sports kind of guy, but she said that what she realized was me doing Muay Thai, even though I'm not the most fit, I'm not the most healthy, but I don't stop moving. And she said there was something attractive about that. Yes, it wasn't exactly what she was looking for. She compromised on that, but she knew that I'm still trying to take care of myself. And Muay Thai and Jiu Jitsu were my outlets, and that was enough of the to hold that standard for her to move forward with the relationship with me. So that was kind of cool to see. Yeah.
We have actually, my speaking of wives, we met initially. Our first conversation was about scotch, but as we got to know each other, the whole reason we started to like establish a relationship
Mhm.
was because um, during COVID, it was hard. The gyms were closed, right? So like your standards are slipping. You can't go out. You can't work out. I was pretty lucky. We had just before the pandemic, someone was getting rid of a bench press for free, and they just had a bench press. They had all these weights, and I picked it up. Put it in the house. We had an empty room, so that was our gym. And anyway, so I had that going for myself. But she she was doing these fitness challenges on Instagram. So I met her, added her social media, and I noticed she was doing them. So I messaged her and I was like, "Hey, it's really cool you're doing this. I'd like to join." She had an accountability group. I was like, "I'll join your group. Let's do some stuff." So it was we did this for a while. It would be like anytime one of us did like a set of push-ups, like 50, we would record us doing the push-ups, send it to each other via message, and the other person would have to drop what they're doing, send a video back, doing whatever set they agreed to do. So we had that going. Um, Pretty big with that. We had like a list of things that we were doing throughout the day, and it was really nice for accountability. It was anything from fitness to me making my bed in the morning. So I'd like message her a picture of my bed, and I was proud of it. Speaking of the angel,
Speaking of
Oh my
me.
goodness, what an
Hello.
incredible bartender.
I remember the fitness stuff. Now we got what? Some beers?
Okay.
Yeah.
Goodness.
No, Matt chose these, so you can tell them a little about
So-
that, I guess.
it's Deck the Hills.
Wow. Okay. Full service and everything. I love
Deck
that.
the Hills. Where's this from? I don't
They
know.
want glasses. They can
That looks awesome.
This does
Where's my wife? What the heck?
Your wife immediately comes out of nowhere with a platter.
have.
Here you are,
Chula,
mi rey, mi vida.
Chula, where are you? Give me a drink.
Alright. Enjoy, guys.
Joy to the world.
This is awesome.
I'll bring another one up in like 30 minutes.
Thank you. So,
One quick thing. I was told that for beer, you usually pour it on the side so it doesn't foam up. But I've been to enough breweries that they've told me you're supposed to pour it so it does foam. Otherwise, one, your stomach will get bloated when the foam does come out. And then two, by doing this and getting the foam to activate, you're activating whatever the heck is supposed to be activated in the inside to get that full breath of beer that you're drinking.
I heard
what-
Yeah. So so you definitely want foam to come out. You don't want see you have the perfect pour right there because you have about what is it like a quarter of an inch or half an inch of the head at the top, and that's the perfect pour. The problem is when you have a glass and it's literally that much beer and the rest of it is just foam. So that's a really good pour. Oh, and I wasn't. I guess the last time since we've talked, I also was in Europe for for 2.5 weeks, and I got to go to two different breweries, the Guinness Brewery in St James Gate in Dublin, and then I got
Nice.
to go to the Smithwick's Brewery in Kilkenny, and that was really cool too. It's got a really cool Catholic history, but
Smitic, yeah.
you watch them pour, especially the Guinness, and just it's a very specific way of doing it. Those beer tenders there at St. James Gate at the brewery, they're masters at their craft because it's a lean pour, and then at the and then so they leave like that much because the foam is like going up, and then they set the glass down, and after it kind of settles, they hit the tap again, and it fills it up, and they know exactly how to time it, and it's such a beautiful cascade of like the bubbles and stuff. It's just like fantastic, man. I got myself a really cool beer glass from Smithwick's, so I'm very excited about that.
That's proper because we actually went to Saro's in Pittsburgh last night, ordered Guinnesses. They didn't do the half pour wait and pour again. They just poured the whole thing. You could tell. I wasn't that mad, but I was like, ah, okay, fine, whatever. But yeah, you do that, and then some of them will use the spigot to draw a clover in your pint,
Mm,
and then when you get it, it should still be cascading downwards, and you should see the imprints of a clover on top. It was
that's awesome.
so when uh, bartenders do that, I know they know what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, my to excuse Chula, she's not here, so she can't be bringing me beer or anything or drinks.
For the New Year's episode. New Year's
It's
episode.
it's it's fine. It's fine. It it doesn't hurt that much. It just hurts a little bit. Okay.
Well, I'll sure it'll hurt that has crossed my mind. Kind of tying everything that we're talking about. My family did get two timeshares way back, maybe when the deals were better and had a lot of more incentive programs. And my father has since sold one of them, and he kept the one that's tied in with the Hilton resorts because that has just much more options around the world. And they usually use the majority of the points, and if not them, then it's my older brother and his wife that use it, or for their family, which is great. I've never used it because in my mind, if I wanted to go somewhere, I would want to go with my partner, and it just hasn't presented itself. But my family has like these remaining 2,000 points left that I could still use, and I'm looking around and I'm like, I would love to go to these things, but am I just gonna go by myself? So don't worry, man. I'm taking the hurt. So,
You understand me, right? The loneliness that comes with it. Oh, that's great. Good stuff, man.
yeah, let's run for like 10, 15 more minutes. Where are you gonna be for Christmas? Uh, um, I'm sorry. What are we calling this guy?
Last time you said Muay Thai.
Muay Thai
Muay
Matt.
Thai Matt. There you go. Muay Thai
Muay
Matt.
Thai.
I will be so today is the 8th. We're gonna leave next weekend, either Friday or Saturday. We have to figure that out. Um, we'll be there until I'm gonna come back after the New Year. So speaking of Christmas traditions, getting married means we have to integrate her traditions into like what I do usually. So because my family, my immediate family is small, our extended family is pretty large, but just me and my parents. Usually we would do Christmas Eve. We talked about this the last time, I think. Open up presents after midnight mass, and maybe there's another one the next day. But we usually do everything the night of or Christmas Eve. Christmas Day would just be like lazing around, eating the food. When mom would cook, we'd eat that food. When we would visit family, we'd do pretty much the same thing. We had family in Florida. We have family in Montreal, so sometimes we'd visit or they'd visit us. But Joy's family does something similar. She does Christmas Eve as well. This year, because her extended family is also in Ontario, they usually do the Christmas Eve together, like the big families, and they'll do a gift exchange, like a Secret Santa. obviously all the Filipino food. We're doing something similar, Secret Santa, and I think her cousins are doing a casino theme this year. So you could get, I don't know exactly how it's going to work, but I think we're going to play games, and you could, everyone's bringing an additional gift worth like 20, $30, and you could place bets towards other prizes you can win, I think. So that's not a tradition per se, but they do like a lot of games, karaoke, obviously, um, each Christmas. And I think one of the new traditions we're going to have, Joy and I, is going to be awkward Christmas photos.
Uh,
We did
That's
it
great.
last time, but we weren't married yet. So this time we're going to go a little hard. I got some ideas.
it's
That's
hysterical.
awesome. That's great. Family traditions. I think that's important. One thing that I think we're going to start doing for Advent is doing an Advent calendar for our family. Like, and not just your typical Advent calendar, but like, you know, these like they sell these popular ones at the stores. So my wife is doing something really special that I really really appreciate. She's so my birthday's coming up on the 17th, and she's getting me starting on the first 17 gifts leading up to my birthday, and one of them includes an Advent calendar. And so she's enjoying, and it's a Lego Advent calendar for like the Avengers Lego Advent calendar. So she's having a good time of watching me open it. But I told her next year what I want to do, especially with our kids, is I want to have an Advent calendar for all of us to enjoy. So every year we're going to start doing an Advent calendar for, when the kids are little, we're going to be opening it, of course, enjoying it, but it's going to be something for the kids to look forward to every single day leading up to it. So the awkward family pictures, that is a brilliant idea. I love that. Junior, we got to find you a wife so that way you can hold you down and build a tradition with, or you can start building a tradition right now and then introduce her into that
Yeah, yeah. All in due time, my man. All in due time.
all in due time.
I like Advent, the idea of Advent calendars, because like I think time goes a lot faster when you're older. When I was younger, December inched by very slowly. I remember going to mass and the Advent wreath. Every new candle that got lit, I get excited. Christmas is coming sooner. It's even closer. I have an Advent wreath here. I still got to set it up. But there's a lot to be said for like the season of Advent too. That I think I forget a lot. It's not necessarily. You can probably correct me on this, Edgar, but like I know it's not as somber as Lent per se, but I know it's a time of preparation for
It is.
Christmas. So some people I've known, I don't know if they like fast, but they'll like prepare in a special way. So something like the Advent calendar really hypes up, the coming of Christ, and even the music that we'll listen to. You go to the mall and or any shopping center, it's like Christmas, like secular
Yep.
music, and then just a hodgepodge of Christmas hymns, but like the ones you play after Christ is born at Advent. And now I'm a stickler. I'm like, it's too early for this one, like Christ isn't here yet. So I'll
Welcome
put
to
Emmanuel, a banger. All
Oh,
the
I love that one. That is my favorite Advent song. The O Come O Come Emmanuel.
my favorite is
Banger.
Little Let All Mortal Flesh Keep Silent. That one's a
Wow. Okay.
classic. Yeah,
Yeah. No. You're absolutely right. Advent is a time for it's so it's there's two there's it's a twofold understanding. The first one is, of course, remembering the preparation for the birth of Jesus, and it really is the anticipation for Israel and the covenants to be fulfilled with Jesus at his birth. So that's why whenever, being Catholic, you go to mass, you hear a lot of the readings are from Isaiah because it's the prophecies of Isaiah, one of the greatest of prophets, um, that are preparing us for the true Messiah to come into earth. And that banger of a song, man, O come Emmanuel, you listen to that, basically saying, to come and set Israel free. Now, obviously, not that's not the exact words, but you're anticipating that. So the coming of Jesus for that. But the second fold is you're preparing for the second coming, and the question becomes like, so you're preparing for Christmas for obviously remembering of what saved us, but the second part is, are you ready for your next judgment, for the second coming? When you die, are you truly prepared to meet God? And we at work, we had our Advent retreat this past Friday, And man, I think it was one of the most fruitful ones for me because the way the priest was breaking it down, he read the story of Luke of the incarnation and Joseph's role in all of this, and obviously theological speculation of, he wasn't. Some speculation and theories say that he wasn't going to divorce her because he thought she was unfaithful, but he was going to divorce her because he knew that it was the Messiah coming into this earth, and he didn't feel worthy of being present there with her. And that's when the angel said, "This is you. Like you need to be there. It's you're in charge of this, and you are the one that's going to name him Jesus," because it was the man who named their son, basically affirming like, "Don't be afraid. You've got a role in this too." And that's when he said, instead of divorcing her, he brought her into his home and basically continued to take her up as his wife. And one of the reasons this theory is out there is because it said, because he was a just man, he decided to divorce her quietly. Well, a just man would not divorce somebody quietly, because the just thing to do to an unfaithful person, to an adulteress, would be to stone them.
Yeah.
So it's not about, so it doesn't seem like it matches up. Like, if
Yeah,
he's a just
everything
man,
you
he
were
would.
saying, I was gonna about to be like, yeah, it's a
But
nice theory,
yeah.
but now that you're saying that,
Yeah. So
yeah,
so the idea of him being a just man to divorce her quietly, it would have been like, he understand that this needs to happen, but he doesn't feel worthy to take part in this. So I completely agree with you, Papi. I was with you, but then when the priest broke it down and said, "What do you mean?" Because he was a just man, he was gonna divorce her quietly. And but when he said that, I was like, "Oh, that makes a lot of sense. That's a great theory." And it really makes me think like, all right, that's me as a man trying to step up too, when I realize like I don't feel worthy to become a father, to be a husband to my wife. Like, no, I'm here, and I've been chosen to be here, and no matter what comes my way, I'm the leader of this household. So it's a really good preparation for that.
A few things come to mind. So last night, no, the night before, on Friday, we watched. I was kind of excited. Joy actually picked it out on Netflix. There's a movie on Mary. So it's, I forget what it's called. I think it's called
Yeah.
Mary,
Yeah.
and it looked decent. Like the previews, I was like, okay, cool. We put it on, and it it was it it was like someone had briefly skimmed the Bible and had in mind to be like, all right, how do we make this a Hollywood blockbuster? How do we make this more exciting? And to put it lightly, they butchered it quite terribly. So, what you said about Joseph divorcing her as a just man, like I was commenting the whole time. Joy was getting annoyed because she's like, "You're distracting me. You know so much about the Bible. Fine, can I just watch this movie?" And I'm like, "This isn't meant to be enjoyed. This is a travesty." And I just kept going off. But um, it, during in the movie, um, she seemed like they presented her as someone like like how to put it. Gabriel shows up, but right before that, Lucifer shows up, and this isn't in scripture at all. Maybe the devil had, tormented her somehow, but suffice to say, Gabriel shows up, tells her, the basics, and she seemed pretty confused as to what was going on. She's like, what is this? She seemed to not know what this actually meant. And Joseph, apparently, the way they made this happen was Mary was, I don't know, by the river, like washing her clothes and like playing with her garments in the wind. And Joseph is by the river washing his face and getting a drink. And he sees her and he's captivated by her beauty. And he's like, oh my gosh. And he's like, hey, what's your name? And she's like, you're weird. And she leaves. So he finds her parents, asks for her hand in marriage. And that's how they say that this came to pass. But when it came time, Joseph didn't have a dream in the movie at all about him being, like Gabriel didn't appear to him. He just seemed to be so in love with her that he didn't care that she was pregnant. And there was a scene where they're like, there she is. And they called her in the movie. They're like, it's the temple whore. She's pregnant. And the timeline from her, the Annunciation, to her being pregnant seemed to be very fast, as if she got pregnant very quick. And the 9 months turned into like 3 days. It was weird. But like there was the scene where they're about to stone her, and Joseph comes up and he like he like beats them back with like a weapon or something and saves her, and they run away. And it was so weird to have that happen in the movie, and I'm like, this is weird. This is really odd.
Is it true that he ends up murdering somebody in the movie? Like he lets somebody burn or something?
Yeah,
Because I heard that was is it true?
yeah. Like the flight to Egypt, the like Jesus is born, and then Herod, played by Anthony Hopkins of all people, sends people to kill all the infants. It was so weird, and so there's like what like six soldiers that you see doing this entire thing, and I'm thinking there's probably more than that, but so they're chasing him, and they're like riding away on a horse and carriage. I don't know if they had horse and carriage back then, but they did in the movie. So like they're running away from the soldiers in the stable, and Joachim and Anna are in this movie too, by the way. But anyways, he they seek shelter at this house, and there's this like shepherd and his wife, but the soldiers track them, and like there's this scene where Joseph is, I think, no, Joachim shows up to like fend them off. He dies. The soldiers kill him, and then the shepherd and the wife get killed, and the whole thing burns down. And it was a lot. Like they like ride through the flames on a horse, and they're just off. And I was so perturbed. I was like, when did this happen? And I'm just muttering like this isn't even scriptural. And Joy's like, please stop. Just let's just watch this movie. And I was like, no, this is terrible. It was a lot.
Yeah. Well, I'm planning on watching it, but again, taking it with a grain of salt. I
Save
keep hearing that it's not recommended.
save your time.
I can imagine that during this season, you're getting a bunch of, since you work for Catholic Answers, in apologetic, specifically apologetic podcast, right? That answers questions of the faith, right? Of theology,
Yeah.
of how is there a God if we don't see God? Those from the
Yeah.
very basic to the very scientific to the very theological.
Mhm.
Well, this scripture verse says this. Well, how about this one? Can we do? I'm assuming you guys are more inclined to doing Christmas oriented stuff. I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, the closer we get to Christmas, we'll do. I'm hoping we'll do some themed ones. I know our more specialized podcast. So like the Catholic Answers Network includes like Council of Trent and Shameless Popery and Jimmy Akin's podcast. They'll do their own themed things. So Joe Heschmeyer's Shameless Popery this past week, for the week that we're releasing it, he just released this episode. He just released an episode called "A Very Pagan Christmas," which is also the title of our last year's Christmas episode.
He probably saw ours, was inspired, and
Yeah, he's like, this is incredible.
he could have a title. He could have a title.
It's a good follow up because our episode is more about relaxing, letting people kind of loosen up a little bit, and you debunk a lot of the things, and then they can listen to Joe's episode this year, and he really goes deep into like why this is not a pagan feast. So highly recommended if you haven't checked that out.
I would only be upset if he was wearing the same attire that I'm wearing. That
See,
would upset me.
let's be honest, Papi. I don't know if a lot of people can pull off your attire, so I just gonna leave it at that.
This man speaks facts over here.
No one has your drip and your riz.
That's right.
What's one thing that we are thankful for as Christmas comes up? And I'll go first as you guys think about it. I was recently hearing a worship song, and I try to listen to a couple worship songs, Christian songs, every day, just because it definitely puts me in a reflective mood, lets me pray, that lets me just pause during my busy day. And the singer was saying, he was singing about miracles, and then the first thing that he always says in his refrain was like, "I have seen families come together, and I have seen cancer be healed, and I have seen people rise from the dead," which I don't know if he's ever seen that, but like biblically, supposedly people have rise from the dead. And he just goes off on these other things that we could all agree on would be considered a miracle. But he starts his refrain of this very popular song. I forget the name. It's a beautiful modern Christian song. He always starts by saying, "I have seen families come together."
Hmm.
And that really rang with me because I could happily say, like I had been saying for a while, my family is the closest that it's ever been.
Mm.
I was in the front porch smoking a cigar, and my dad was walking in, and he was just smiling at me. I was looking playing chess on my phone, and I just looked up, and I was like, why are you looking at me like that? And he was just smiling. He was just like, and I was like, oh, that's a proud father look.
Mm.
And I was like, oh man. And, I had arrived at Thanksgiving, prior to Thanksgiving, maybe a couple of days, and spent some time with them, my immediate family, and then for Thanksgiving, the extended family came as well. And that's so true, like I don't know what families out there didn't click, didn't vibe. They just, the typical saying of, well, ready to argue with uncle and argue with your brothers and sisters. But uh, hopefully along the way, we all realize the brokenness of our family. We acknowledge it, we forgive, we move on, and then eventually you just start embracing. You embrace all of them, and you love them for who they are, where they are, and hopefully you love yourself too. So you can be healthy yourself. And 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 so that's why that reframe is like, I have seen families come together. Why, I was like, why is he calling that a miracle?
Mm.
And that's why. And that is a miracle, that a family can come together and love each other. And so hopefully, so I could say that my family, because my older brother was there with his wife and two kids and all these other cousins and aunts and uncles, and it was just so beautiful. And I really wish this for everybody,
Yeah.
to the point where you start looking forward to going home to be with these people. And one good thing also that we're all pretty aware of is we just avoid hot topics. We avoid arguments. We avoid, it's like I could totally tell anytime something maybe potentially tense may pop up. It'll just be, it's not worth it to talk about it now.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, that's what I would say. I am extremely thankful for this past Thanksgiving, and what I look forward to when I visit again in New Year's, in Christmas in New Jersey.
Mm.
How about you, Matt?
Mm.
Muay Thai Matt.
Uh, on the theme of family, of course, is very convenient, but I'm very thankful to have a family of my own. I think even in counseling, when I talk to my clients, I talk a lot about identity and meaning, values, stuff like that to ground the philosophy of what people are aiming at. And one of the themes that comes up often is with a lot of my young adult clients, it's learning how to shift from being a child to an adult and how that relationship can sometimes be put to strain between children and parents because the parents are always relating to the children as their child, but sometimes treating them as an adult can be difficult. And when we talk about priorities, uh, some clients share this in common, but I've always thought my immediate family is my most important relationship in life until I'm married, and then my wife then becomes the most important family in my life. And that was kind of between Joy and I. We talked about this too. That was the shift that it took for us, and I think we're learning to understand that more. So Joy is actually born on Christmas Day, so she competes with Jesus, which is tough. So I'm definitely thankful because it's like she is one of the greatest gifts I've received in my life. So this marriage, my new family is one, as well as the gift of her family being part of mine now. So her mom was very quick to start calling me son. Her dad is I don't know if he's dropped the son bomb yet, maybe soon, but yeah, I'll refer to them as my parents too. So I think that's one of the gifts to continue to unpack is how do I how do I bring like that my new family closer to myself, and then how does our relationship, Joy and I, reflect like the Trinity, the Holy Family in our own family, because her family used to be churchgoers, but because they were immigrants to Canada, getting shifts, getting work, making ends meet was very important. So a lot of them had to take shifts Sundays, and they would miss church once in a while, and then now they just don't go. So there's this hidden opportunity, I hope, for her and I to start being a good example of that. Um, when I was visiting not too long ago, she they I don't know why, but they turned to her to bless the food because I think now that they know that we have been, a couple dating and now we're married, they know that I'm pretty devout, or at least I try to be. And they're like, oh, okay, you're practicing your faith, now why don't you bless the food? So her blessing, she prays the same prayer that my dad does, and it's he'll do the grace before meals, but then he'll add, bless the hands that prepare this food, provide for those who don't have enough, and give us the grace to be thankful for all that you give us. So she'll throw that in, and they've come to expect that now, which is a real gift too.
That's awesome.
And I got a text not too long ago from my mom, and she was like, "Hey, just so you know, when you get back, we're meeting with Joy's family on, I think, the 22nd. They're gonna come to our town. So her parents, her sister, even with her partner, they're not married yet. Hopefully they do, but she's the eldest, the sister, and they're coming. And like even after my dad's out of pocket speech, like they're still very willing to like spend time with the family. I think Joyce kind of explained things, through communicating with them to what he really meant. But I'm hoping for that hidden opportunity of, continuing to minister through our family, our faith, being a blessing, as my dad put it, to bring Christ to her family in a deeper way. Her mom seems really receptive. Hopefully, her dad joins too, and I'm hoping her sister, she's kind of not as much practicing, so we're hoping for all of that, and that's something I'm thankful for is just that opportunity.
Awesome. That's great. Yeah. Um, this Christmas, at least for me, it's shifted my perspective because I am going to be the one that a new life looks up to set the standards and traditions and what it means to be a man and to love a family. And there's a little bit of pressure there, but I don't know. It's just it's the weirdest thing knowing that you got to participate in with God to create a new life. The first time I heard the heartbeat of my child, it just changed everything. Like I love this little kid with everything that I have, and you know my selfish needs and desires and everything that I've you know the, thinking that the world revolved around me and thinking that my life revolved around me uh, is taking a back seat to realizing now there's going to be these little eyes and little ears just noticing everything that I do and say and how I act. So I don't know, man. I'm just appreciative for this child that I don't know. It's I can't find the words for it. I'm just so grateful for this little child, and my wife just entered into her second trimester, and you're tracking and seeing like, oh, the baby's the size of this now, and now their ears are developed and the eyelids are starting to come in, and um, the facial muscles are coming in, so now they can smile and grimace and this and that, and it's like it's something beautiful. I don't know. That's more than anything. That's what I'm grateful for, and and it reaffirms my love and my appreciation for the woman that I decided to marry. I think one of the things that attracted me to my wife, and my wife knows this, I have a type and she has a type and we are not each other's type. So I'll just leave it at that. So she understands that I like blonde girls with blue eyes, and she realizes she likes her ginger boys, little Irish ginger boys, and I am not that. So we realize this about each other, but we fell in love with each other, and I think it's because we saw something in each other that other people have not met. And part of that in knowing her is realizing, especially early on, is that I knew she was going to make a great mom. I saw her interacting with children and how she treats them and acknowledges them for who they are, not just as like these dumb little kids that are getting in the way, but actually paying attention to them. And kids love her. And I thought that's the kind of mom I want for my children. So yeah, that's what I'm appreciative for.
I would love for this to happen. You do 23andMe genetic mapping. and you discover that you're 30% Irish. Because Irish people, they go to Mexico, hence
Yeah,
why there's some some Mexicans, like
Canelo,
Canelo, the
Canelo.
boxer.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah, he kind of looks Mexican, but if
No,
you
he
really,
doesn't.
not,
Yeah,
with the Mexican apparel, because enough
yeah,
Mexicans look like him too, like they're light
yeah,
skinned, but reddish beard,
yeah.
right? There's that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, there's a part in Mexican history during the Mexican American War,
yeah,
the St. Patrick's Battalion. You had at that point a lot of Irish immigrants were coming into the U.S. and they were drafted into the military. So at this point, the U.S. wanted to purchase California, well, New Mexico, Arizona, Texas, and Mexico said no. So the U.S. invaded, and you had all these people who were drafted into the military, these Irish, who were going along into Mexico and watching these Protestant Americans desecrating churches and pillaging these churches and treating Catholic priests, nuns, and seminarians horribly. And these Irish Catholics were like, these are our Catholic brothers and sisters. We can't just turn a blind eye. And it was the largest defection in American military history, that the Irish defected and joined the Mexicans, and they were known as St. Patrick's Battalion. Obviously, you know the history, because now these are now states of the United States. Mexico lost the war, but amongst Mexicans, they were known as some of the fiercest warriors out there. That whenever the Mexicans were losing, the Mexicans would put down their arms ready to surrender, and the Irish would grab the gun, throw it back in their face, and say, "You keep fighting." And after Mexico lost the war, the Irish went out into the mountains and just kind of like disappeared, because they knew they would be tried for treason and hanged. But because of that, they ended up mixing in with the population, and that's why now you have Mexicans like Canelo Alvarez and others with red beards and freckles and really light skin. So, oh yeah, they're there. I mean, it's a possibility. It's definitely not out of the question, but I think there's a little more European in there. My grandpa did have blue eyes, and he was pretty tall, so it's there.
yeah. So ideally for you, I would say 30%. I'm aiming for 30% Irish, and ideally for your daughter, or maybe I jumped the gun there. I don't know if you do you know the
Hey
gender?
man, no, we're not. We're waiting till the baby's born.
Gonna be
Hopefully a daughter, right?
Let's say it's a daughter or son. Ideally a daughter, I would say, and she comes out blonde because of the recessive genes that she has and the recessive genes that you have, and poof, a
Blue eyes and
blonde,
everything.
beautiful girl. And then you will be like, wow, God, that's the girl you were having me wait for.
A beautiful little girl. Well,
Beautiful
just
blonde little girl.
and not only that, but she's gonna have a great tan. I'll tell you that. That's for sure. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
um,
Um, I also do want to include as we finish up, you guys have been blessings to me. Unfortunately, I haven't had you locally for years, but I've had Muay Thai Matt here, and it's been beautiful to also see you and your romance with Joy. Both of you did legit long distance dating, and most people that have already dated around and usually say don't do long distance dating. It's just hard. It's hard. But props to you guys, and I've been able to see that from a distance. That's been great. I'm thankful for you as a local brother. We're smoking cigars, drinking uh, cocktails that your now wife is serving us. That's awesome, dude.
She said there's one more coming.
Awesome. One more.
well, you guys enjoy that. I have to go. I have to go meet up with my wife. She's spending some time with some friends that are going to be unfortunately leaving California in the next month, because it's so darn expensive here. So they're leaving. So she's spending time with them right now. So I'm going to go join them while you guys
I mean,
enjoy your
hopefully,
final
hopefully that
cocktails.
rubs off on you as well, and you get inspired.
Well, it's not out of the question. I think San Diego's too expensive, so I'll never be able to own a home here. The average price of a home is about just under $1 million, I think. So
Mm.
I'll never buy a home here. It's just too expensive. So if God opens the door to go somewhere else, I think we're definitely going to do it. Uh, right now, the possibilities are either going to be Northern California by my family, where it's going to be Eastern Pennsylvania. So with her family. So if that happens, there's going to be a lot more opportunities for us to actually get together. And one of these great extravagant Feliz Navidad podcasts will might actually have to do in person.
Amen, bro. Amen.
Yeah.
So with that, we will send you off singing our song. Ready, all of us together. Ready, set, go. Feliz Navidad. Pa-da-pa. Feliz Navidad. Pa-pa-da-pa. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart. This is the Papi and Chulo show when Muay Thai Matt is a guest. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next time.
Feliz Navidad.